laughable, quite honestly. Are we where we want to be? No, not at all. We all have to coach better. I have to coach better. We got to play better. We understand that. We've got to figure out a way in this last month of the season to win a football game, right? And we got another great opportunity, a great opponent coming in here, this weekend. And I love everything about this organization, my job, fans. It's a great place, and I'll tell you, it's a great place to work when things are going well. We know we're in a bit of a slump. It's not easy. It's not an easy place to work sometimes, because it's the pressure of performing, right? As athletes, as coaches, when things kind of go awry as they have, this is when we say, okay, we look internally and we say, okay, how can we fix? How can I fix Doug Pederson first? How can I be a better leader? How can I be a better motivator? How can I be a better coach to the players and still get the most out of these guys?
That's Doug Pederson yesterday morning on WIP Radio in Philly. I'm always fascinated about these arrangements with local stations for coaches and players to do the regular appearance. Remember, we used to have the Ben Roethlisberger weekly appearance on radio to break down, because press conference, you never get the kind of depth, and you never get the comfort level where the host will ask the question like, there's speculation that you don't want to be here. And that's what prompted the answer we just heard. You don't get that in a press conference. I mean, sometimes you do, but you're more likely to get it when there's back and forth for 10 or 15 minutes. And it really makes me wonder why these guys do it. I think part of it's in their contract, part of it's in the flagship station for the team. But it really is enlightening, and I'm glad they do it because it creates comments like that. And I don't know. I hadn't heard speculation that he wants out. But by the time the season's over, maybe he will want out, Chris.
No, I have heard that speculation. I have heard that. I have a hard time believing it, but I have heard that out there in the the NFL rumorville. I would hope or think that's not the case, though. Now, they have some work to do there. I mean, obviously, things are not good, but Doug Pederson has done a great job there with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they've been very relevant ever since he's taken over. And they have an attitude and a style of play when they've been healthy that is fun to watch. So I really respect everything he's done there. They're in a tough spot right now. Yeah, the team, old, injured. Yeah, they missed on a few players, free agency, whatever else. He could have coached better. Carson Wentz is in a rut, and they're in a tough spot. And Philly, as we know, is demanding as hell. I don't know, Mike. He's got a big decision to make this week. I'm one that says go with Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz needs the break. Everything gets blamed on him. Even when the defense lets up a touchdown, they go, oh, Carson Wentz. That's what they do in Philadelphia. Let him take a step back, reevaluate. You need something anyways to energize your team a little bit, do something. Maybe Jalen Hurts can do that and give you a schematical advantage because you can't prepare for some of the things they might do. And at the very least, okay, yeah, if it works, great. You've jump-started your team. If it doesn't work, you could tell all the people in Philadelphia to shut the hell up, and we're going back to Carson Wentz, and Jalen Hurts isn't ready yet. So I really look at it as like a no-lose situation there, and I think it is time. It's time. Just start Jalen Hurts, shut some of the haters up of the world, see if he can do something for you. Let Carson Wentz take a step back and reevaluate his play and everything about it.
Yeah, the problem is the Saints and their great defense are going to town this weekend.
Yeah, well, let Jalen Hurts have it then. Go ahead. I mean, it ain't going to look much better with Carson Wentz, right? So
the dilemma that Peterson faces if he wants out, obviously he's under contract, and maybe the Eagles would be happy to let him go. But, Chris, I've been thinking more and more about an angle that doesn't get used nearly enough in the NFL, and maybe this year it will, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's one of these other teams. The idea that you can approach a team that currently has a coach under contract and work out a deal for compensation, and then approach the coach and work out a deal for what he's going to be paid. We haven't seen the John Gruden type transaction nearly as often as I thought we would over the past 20 years. We saw Herm Edwards go from the Jets to Kansas City at the time when the Jets were ready to fire him anyway. We saw Dick Vermeil retire and then resurface with the Chiefs, and there was some compensation. Bruce Arians, there was some compensation for the Cardinals. But we haven't seen the classic trade, even though it's not really a trade because the coach does have a huge say in it. Every year about this time, I start thinking, why isn't this part of the arsenal of looking for a coach? We assume it's a rising coordinator, a fired head coach or a college coach. Never is it considered on equal footing the prospect of trying to hire someone else's head coach, but it's legitimate. It's there. Maybe it'll be Peterson. Maybe it'll be somebody else. This Chargers job is very attractive. The Texans job is attractive. There's a lot of teams out there looking for coaches who either have franchise quarterbacks or the opportunity to draft a franchise quarterback, and I can't help but wonder whether or not this is the year that maybe the Eagles get a call. Hey, if you're not happy with Doug Pederson, well, let's talk about a deal. Or maybe some other coach, there's a phone call to his team. Hey, maybe it's reaching the end of the road. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens.
I mean, it's rare because just so, the times we're talking about, like with John Gruden. John Gruden was the hottest thing going, too. It's just rare that a coach that's really good, who's built something and it's kind of successful, wants to leave that and start somewhere else new. And again, I have no knowledge of Doug Pederson's feelings with the Philadelphia Eagles or anything like that. All we know is, things are not as smooth as the last few years. But I would be shocked if he wants out of Philadelphia. I really would, with the history he has there, what he's built there. Yeah, it's not great right now, but I would think they have confidence they can turn it around. And I don't know. I mean, who is that guy? Who would be that guy right now that you would look at that would even be in that conversation, maybe other than Doug Pederson, that a team would go, okay, we want to purge him. We're willing to give those picks. And that coach has to be somewhat unhappy with where he's at, too. I don't know if anybody – fits that mold other than Doug Pederson right now, if it is true that maybe he wants out of Philadelphia.
There was a time I thought that was going to happen with Sean Payton, but I don't believe that's going to happen.
Right.
Now that he's got his successor to Drew Brees, and I think he kind of, I don't know, maybe was toying with the idea of something like that, but it seems like he's locked into New Orleans for the long haul, and he's going to be that guy who, is there 20 years, if not longer. But you have to find someone where maybe there's some mutual disenchantment, because that's what was going on with the Raiders and John Gruden.
Right.
Al Davis was ready to move on, and they only had him under contract for one more year. You consider you got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million for a guy who could have walked away after 1 year. That's amazing. But I just think that with all of these jobs where the quarterback isn't an issue, most of these jobs come open because the quarterback stinks. There's going to be several jobs where the quarterback is good if the Chargers make a change. Obviously, with the Texans, as we've discussed, the opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence. Matthew Stafford, if you like Matthew Stafford, I mean, he's better than most quarterbacks
definitely
that vacant jobs have. So it's just a wrinkle to keep in mind, because this would seem to be the year to at least consider it. If you can find a coach who maybe is thinking about leaving and a team that maybe is thinking about letting him go, this could be the time to do it.
Yeah, I understand that. I think this could set up to be a very interesting offseason because of, like you're saying, some of the jobs that are available. And then also, I think, because you hit on it, the quarterback conversation, I think there's going to be a lot of good quarterbacks available, too, via the draft and free agency, to where – you're going to have some interesting decisions made there by teams that right now are like maybe in limbo about their quarterback. Hey, Matt Stafford, come here. Hey, Sam Darnold, they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence. We'll trade for you. Come here. We think you could be a starter. Matt Ryan, what's going to happen there with the Falcons? I mean, there's a lot of guys and names out there where you go, where does he end up next year? How does that work out? The coaching search is always fascinating, but I think it could be a lot of moving chairs with quarterbacks too.
This offseason, last offseason was so upside down because of the pandemic. This offseason could be even more fascinating. Tom Brady hovered over. He sucked all the oxygen out of the room, frankly, last offseason. There's a lot of wrinkles and a lot of different ways that things are going to go this year. It's going to be fun, but we got a lot of football to be played before we get there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.